businesses, stocks, investments. More
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear listeners, to a new episode of Economy Report. This episode is being directed by Abdul Latif Al Musa and brought to you by Abdul Rahman bin Muhammad Al Husseini. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear listeners, to a new episode of Economy Report. Tonight we are joined by Engineer Umar Ahmed Bahlewa, the General or the Secretary General of the Council of Saudi Chambers. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Abdurrahman, and I'm so thankful to Radio Riyadh English Services for hosting me tonight.
Well, Engineer Umar, as usual, when I have you here in the studio, I don't prepare anything, to be honest with you. We talk general things, we talk about general issues, we talk about economical issues most of the time. Mm-hmm. Since you are aware of this arena and you are one of the, probably the players in the Council of Saudi Chambers, and you have a lot to say about different things. So, Engineer Umar, it has been such a long time since we have talked about the Saudi economy. Mm-hmm. And probably it's better for us and for the audience to start as an introduction to the subject, paving the way for another detailed, probably, information. So let's have a glamour about the Saudi economy nowadays, then we can start from there.
Okay. Thank you, Abdurrahman. Actually, I want to bring the listeners up to date of what's going on in Saudi Arabia. As you know, you may know, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is considered now one of the a member of the G20, which is the largest 20 economies in the world. And as a matter of fact, we are number 16 in terms of ranking in the G20. The GDP of Saudi Arabia is $745 billion, and it is expected to increase by 5%. So we are expecting the GDP to reach very close to $800 billion. The per capita went up to $21,000, and again we are expecting that to go up to $25,000 by the end of 2014. When it comes to ranking in terms of ease of doing business, unfortunately we slipped from the level of 13 to the level of 24, and but still we are one of the very attractive countries for investments, and we are the largest, actually 80% of the FDI. FDI stands for foreign direct investment. We are the largest FDI in the Arab world, and we represent approximately 80%, between 75 to 80% of the total FDI in the Arab world. Still, Saudi Arabia is diversifying. Still, Saudi Arabia on the fast track. We are trying to motivate the economy. We're trying to motivate investments, and lots of stimulations have taken place in the last few years or so. Infrastructure projects really on a massive way went up last year. For an example, the metro of Riyadh is one of the largest projects that have taken place, 82 billion riyals. The education program that has been budgeted for another 80 billion riyals. The Mecca, Medina, Jeddah land train line is one of the largest as well, and the Western Province, Mecca Gate, the Holy Mosque expansions of Medina, expansions of Aramco. Aramco have announced that they are spending about $400 billion, and they will spend about $400 billion in the next 10 years or so. So you're talking, Abdurrahman, about massive expansions and very diversified expansions in the infrastructure of the country. One more important issue, Saudi Arabia now is focusing significantly on the human resources. Project of King Abdullah for scholarship is going on. Yesterday they've announced the largest batch of that program, 10,000 plus students to be sent overseas, in addition to the 150,000 students that are currently overseas taking their education, not in one country but all over the world, which will bring back knowledge and broad minds students to the country, males and females. When we come to the trade and investments in Saudi Arabia, once again, trade and investment is becoming attractive to the country. The trade to Saudi Arabia is the import is less than the export. Majorly, we're exporting oil and petrochemicals, but we are diversifying as well into the non-oil products, where this year, 2014, is considered to be the largest year in terms of non-oil products export from Saudi Arabia. In terms of investments outside Saudi Arabia, still Saudi Arabia is one of the largest investors outside. We are trying to build up projects in the Far East, for an example, Korea, Japan. Now we are targeting India. Also, we're going into Indonesia in an indirect way, but inshallah in the near future we're thinking of projects to talk to Indonesian authority to cooperate in that subject. When it comes to the West, Europe in general, between France, Germany, the UK, Italy, and West Europe in general, plus we are also trying to expand to East Europe, a country like Poland, Hungary. In 2013 we had a big forum on Arab-Hungarian economy, and I think you attended that yourself, Abdurrahman.
Right.
And likewise, for the North America, we're talking North America now, United States and Canada. And 2013, we have done a big forum in Los Angeles, and we have attracted for the first time over 100 companies to come over and do business for the first time in Saudi Arabia. Canada is another attractive country for Saudi Arabia in and out. And we are considering Canada as well as a strategic partner, and we have over 15,000 students in Canada. Plus, we've the largest number of PhD medical doctors are doing their PhDs in Canada, and inshallah they will come back knowledge and to contribute to the Saudi economy as well.
Inshallah, indeed. Actually, Engineer Omar, you have said it all. Actually, very thorough information about the general economy in Saudi Arabia. You have mentioned a lot of mega projects. For example, the Riyadh Metro and some other mega projects in the Western Province, King Abdullah City, Economical City, and so on and so forth. The question now, with this general huge spending on those projects, people usually, or the experts usually, they are concerned with the inflation rate in the country, because there are a lot of spending in the country and different areas at the same time. And this is just, you mentioned the governmental sector. What about the private sector? The private sector have also big projects going on. For example, if you go to the real estate, if you go to the building or constructions of different projects around the country, this makes it a little bit ambiguous when it comes to the inflation rate and how long is it going to be stable like that, I mean, without any change. We have seen changes since 2000, probably 4 or 5 until now, which is considered to be moderate or so. But what's the future is going to bring to us?
The inflation is not a local inflation. The inflation, what you see, Abdurrahman, nowadays as an inflation, this is a world inflation. It's not Saudi Arabia. We're part of the global inflation, which moves from the east to the west to the center of the world. And most of the problems that you see today worldwide is because of the impact of the inflation. Most of the Arab Springs that you have seen, that was a reaction of the inflation that took place from 2008 up to date. So we have to be realistic that you do not tie the spending of the Saudi government to the infrastructure projects to the inflation. The inflation goes across the board from food industry to mechanical, technical, electrical, etc. Plus, the financial crisis really stimulated the inflation big time. And what we have to realize that and this is why in Saudi Arabia we trying to control the inflation big time. For a long time, up to 2005, maybe 6, the inflation in Saudi Arabia was less than 1%. All of a sudden, we between 2007, where the effects of the financial crisis started, in 2008 it hit badly. The inflation started to show off, not only in Saudi Arabia, worldwide. Prices went up. Affordability of some of the goods were less, and people started to. I'm talking to the average person. Talking to the average person that when he goes to the supermarket, if he used to spend, for an example, $100 or 500 riyals, for an example, to fill up his cart, it's not there anymore, and you don't blame the government for that. You blame the world economy. Throughout the last 10 years, and since 2004, 2005, prices of oil went up, demand went high for energy, and movement of economy started to go from the far west to the far east. Then the middle class of the Far East went up. Just take an example, India and China. The middle class used to be 200 million, and when the middle class expanded, it went up to 400 to 500 million each.
So it's doubled.
Exactly.
In each country.
Exactly. What happened? Those people used to take one meal per day, or they were limited in their luxurious products. They expanded to demand more. Because of the demand, the supply went less. The prices automatically went up, and the inflation spread around the world. beside that, the price of energy, the price of energy is the mover of the inflation indirectly, and lots of people complain that it's not. And from my angle and from my perspective, I believe it is. What happened when the prices of oil went up, and it was really going up high sky, it reached 150, if you remember. Then from the wisdom of King Abdullah, he really felt the threat of the increase of the oil prices. If you remember, in 2008, he called for a summit in Jeddah,
right? Yes.
to maintain a price that is
During the
affordable.
financial crisis.
Bravo.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't that summit, the prices today were expected to be $300. And imagine a price of oil at $300. Who can afford products that go down the stream afterwards? So I would say
that's a real inflation.
Yeah, the inflation.
On the consumers.
Yeah, the inflation. Average person have to understand that the inflation doesn't come from the Saudi government. It comes from the world economy, and he has now realistically to consider the way of his consumption, and this is where people now are becoming more. I would say people became wiser in terms of purchasing. They buy what they need, and they spend what they demand, and they don't just overspending. Instead of buying a dozen, now you buy per piece. Instead of buying per sack, you buy per kilo, etc. This will help you big time in terms of controlling your spending, and we have to become a very smart purchasers. We have to become not loyal to one brand or another. We have to diversify in our loyalty to our brands. Also, we have to question the quality and the quantity, not only from the vendor, but also to the family. Family has to control their spending instead of buying in a big amounts. They have to buy on a smaller amount, on a smaller scale, and try folks to reduce your storage house at home and make the storage house at the supermarket. Alhamdulillah, everything is available. We are not facing any difficulties. So saving is in the quality of purchasing.
Right. That means the consumers, they should be aware of how they spend the money and how they buy things when they go to the supermarket.
They have to act smart. And what I'm
Right.
saying, they have to act smart.
Right. Okay, why don't we take a short break and come back to continue our discussion? Stay tuned. Back, dear listeners, to this episode of Economy Report. Tonight we are joined by Engineer Omar Bahlewa, the General Secretary of the Council of Saudi Chambers, and we're talking about economic issues concentrating in our economy here in Saudi Arabia. Mr. Omar, before the break, we have talked a little bit about the introduction about our economy here in Saudi Arabia, and we mentioned the mega projects that is being undergoing now or being under processing. So maybe the best question or discussion now is those mega projects or the infrastructure projects take a lot or take long time in order to finish and then to operate. So after this period of time, when they operate and they become useful for the purposes that they were designed for, what is the impact of those infrastructure projects on the Saudi economy? And probably the immediate example that we just mentioned is the Riyadh Metro project.
First, let me pardon myself and do one correction. I'm the Secretary General of the Committee for International Trade.
Sorry.
So the Secretary General of the Council Chambers will not get mad at me.
Okay.
That's a very good question, Abdurrahman, because the country now is a real workshop, if you notice that. Infrastructures are going everywhere, and projects are spreading around the country. And in a very diversified way, not in one city nor in one province. It is all over the country. You look at the east, the west, the north, the south, center part of the country, and you see a really a cell of bees that are working hard, and really everybody is working to develop the country. We have first to be patient. We have to live with it, and we have to accept it because it leads us to the best of our future and for the next generation to come. Let me give you an example. As you mentioned, the metro. The metro will change the face of the life in a big city like Riyadh. Riyadh is coming into becoming a big city with a 5.5 million population. 50% of the population are less than 20 years of age, so you have a future population. What you need to do is really to move those population around the city. So the idea of the metro will really shift the concept of public transportation in town. And that means economically reducing lots of costs on per capita, and at the same time make transportation much easier, and that will reduce the number of cars on the streets, reduce the consumption of fuel and energy, reduce the pollution, reduce the number of accidents, etc. And at the same time, the public transportation will help us socially to move around the city and see part of the cities. I assure you that I am the boy of Riyadh. I was born, grew up, and lived in Riyadh, and as a family we were living in Riyadh for the last 75 years. I've seen Riyadh.
So you know what's inside out.
Exactly. I've seen Riyadh when it was extremely.
Now.
You used to walk in Riyadh from one end to another. Not anymore. You cannot walk from in one neighborhood of Riyadh.
Because it's a short distance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Second, the Riyadh transportation of Riyadh is only vehicles, which is cars. Now you're talking about trains and metros. This will help to speed up the movement of people from one side to another, and in the same time it will help big time to build up urban areas, and that will, as I said, change the philosophy of the economy of the city. At the same time, lots of other costs will be reduced. public transportation will help students to go to their schools, will help workers to go to their offices or to their place of work. It will help also expanding within the parameters or surrounders of Riyadh. Riyadh will be commuting by train, buses, and taxis in a very efficient way. So
that
transportation.
means a big reduction in the cars and the transportations.
Personally, I would rather take a train from my home to my office instead of driving every day. Sometimes it takes
10 minutes.
Yeah, no.
So
Sometimes it takes 45 minutes. Yeah, and it takes. I assure you, it will take maximum 10 minutes. I was in London last Eid, and I had a conference in another city. I was in London, and the conference was in Edinburgh, in Scotland. So the hotel that I was staying at was in Kensington. That's an area in part of Midwest London. So what happened, I thought that, wow, that will be a long travel. I need one full day to travel. As a matter of fact, Abdurrahman, honest to God, I moved from my house at 9 o'clock. My train was at 12, so I had my breakfast at the station. I took the metro from my station to the King's Cross station. Then I took a train from King's Cross station to Edinburgh. That was maximum 2 or 3 hours, okay, and the time that it took me from my hotel to the King's Cross station, about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Honestly, I was impressed with
amazed
with the number of hours that I have saved and the number of people that I've been traveling with. So that means that we will really reduce big time the time of each person going anywhere, and that's economy. You reduce in the economy. Socially,
time is money.
Yeah, and socially that will help us again from reducing number of drivers for families,
number of accidents,
and we reduce
the
also
gas consumption
and pollution.
The pollution.
Yeah, and of course the other pollution is noise. That people don't feel it. Riyadh is becoming noisy, so really you'll reduce that. All of this will have an impact on the economy. It will have a direct or indirect impact of the economy. Also, it will help the urban planning in terms of planning the city in a big time. Then they will around the stations. You can build up shopping areas, and you can build up complexes where you can have high-rise buildings and reduce the utilities cost, reduce the transportation cost. Lots of indirect impact that will help the economy of the city once you apply this concept.
That's very, very good, actually. That's for the Riyadh Metro. And likewise as for the other mega projects scattered all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
For example, King Abdullah University Coast in Jeddah just opened like a few years back, and Princess Noura bint Abdurrahman here in Riyadh, and the
King Abdullah Financial
City.
There will be a change of
Riyadh.
the concept.
This is gonna move Riyadh from one phase to another, probably.
Yeah.
So those mega projects,
the two holy mosques projects, huge in the history of Islam. None of the previous empires have built such an expansion like what's happening nowadays.
Expansions with a state of art.
Yes.
It's not something old. It's state of art
and
when
efficiency.
we talk about efficiency.
Efficiency.
We talk about high-tech technology and
exactly
the modern systems in those buildings.
Yeah.
This have a great impact on the economy.
And another thing that we have to look at from the point of view of infrastructures, and you were talking about education. Education infrastructure will build up schools, smart schools. Now we're introducing through the King Abdullah program for education, smart schools. Then where knowledge base is the base for expanding. It will not be the traditional schools that you go to school just to memorize whatever you've been told and come back. No, the future will be knowledge-based education, and that will help the new generation. I assure you, Abdurrahman, that in 10 years from today, you'll see young generation that are more knowledgeable than you and I. And they will be smarter than you and I. And they will lead this country, inshallah, to the future with the help of course, with the basics of and the motivation of the country to go forward in a positive way.
And the values of Islam.
Exactly.
The society as well. Okay, why don't we take a short break and come back to continue our discussion? Stay tuned for a short break. Welcome back, dear listeners, to this episode of Economy Report. Tonight we are joined by Engineer Omar Bahlewa, the Secretary General of the Committee for International Trade. This is the correct title,
You bet.
right?
Thank you.
Okay, Omar, I think now it's time to talk about the non-traditional industry. As you know, the Saudi economy is large, and we have a lot of capital in that economy. And if we don't use them in the right way or for the future, probably we are losing a lot of opportunities. So probably we have some industries, but now probably it's time for the non-traditional industries. If we can talk about this issue from your perspective.
Mm-hmm. Again, in the 70s and 80s, we've established big companies like SABIC. And now another big company is coming to the service by Aramco called Sadara. And those two companies are giants. Also Ma'aden, which is another leg for industry, and that is using the minerals of Saudi Arabia. And they have succeeded now to produce two products, which is bauxite and alumina, to produce aluminum, and the downstream industry for cement industry and construction industries. When we are talking about downstreams industries, and this is a huge field that we have to go through. You've asked me if this will affect the current industries or manufacturers that are in the market. Absolutely not. Because what's happening now is the diversification will go to the downstream, and this is where the vision of the country, where they have established the Saudi plastic industry for 10 billion riyals company, and that is to diversify. Sadara is doing the same, and that will take the country into the downstream industries and will build up lots of SMEs. And I mean by SMEs, small and medium enterprises or entrepreneurs. That will help employment from one side. That will add value to the product, and at the same time it will diversify the resources for the country. So employment will help opening opportunities for Saudis, and then it will go into what's so called up to date techniques and tactics and understanding what's going on in the market. Then we'll attract technologies and know-how. Our history proven that we have succeeded when we built Jubail and Yanbu and all these industrial states around the country, and we have also attracted many technologies to the country. Always the Saudi products are meant to be quality products, and they are quality products. When you take them out into the market, you find them as one of the top qualities, competing the high quality from the Far East and Far West. However, we need to be always on our toes when it comes to industries and manufacturing, because manufacturing and industries means you have to do lots of R&D, and you have to always become up to date when it comes to developing your products. So we need to attract technologies and know-how from all over the world. So we have to open our borders when it comes to technology. We have to motivate the FDI to come and domesticate their technologies to the Saudi market. We have to initiate ideas from our market. We have to attract brains and ideas from all over the world. We have to motivate our universities and colleges to come up with ideas. Also, which is very important, this is where the success of United States, for an example, and most of the West countries tie up the universities' R&Ds to the market. Unfortunately, our universities so far are isolated from the market. What we need for the next few decades is to build up bridges between our universities and the market.
Yeah, this gap is creating a problem for the graduates, actually. from those universities
Exactly.
to be absorbed by
Mhm.
the job market or the labor market here in Saudi Arabia.
I agree, and they are now trying to do lots of corrections, and I do admire the King Saud University of their new trend of really tying up themselves to the market need. They have lots of projects inside the university to tie up themselves with the market. Silicon Valley of the project of the university have been created. They are trying also to build up a relation with the manufacturers in Saudi Arabia, to build up a technology line between them and manufacturers. If we succeed in this, and if we succeed also to attract more technologies from outside, believe me, Abdurrahman, will be in the first line and or maximum the second line in no time.
That's great. What about when we talk about the non-traditional industries, what about directing our industries probably toward the mid and the downstream fields? As you mentioned before, during the 70s or 80s, we have established the basic industries companies. And now it's about time for specifications or specialty in this industry. So how do you see the future? Maybe you talked about the know-how during your comments on that subject of non-traditional industries, but how are we going to utilize what we have toward the real downstream or midstream industries? What are the requirements for us to start this?
Excellent question, Abdurrahman, because downstream industries needs lots of ideas and needs finance. And
so
those
we can
two
link
factors,
it to R&D's probably activities?
yes, and
somehow.
And market surveys.
Okay.
You have always to understand what is the market need. When Apple, Apple handed or was stumbled in their way in the 90s because they were out of the market. Then they made this survey to the market, what is the market needs, and they put all the market need into one unit, which is the Apple phone now, the smartphone. Then others followed. What I see here, that we have to link ourselves to the market need. Downstream industries needs lots of R&D and needs to be up to date on the market needs and needs lots of finance. Unfortunately, there is something called venture capital, which is very absent in the Saudi market. We have to introduce that venture capital to the market. At the same time, so finance become a smooth tool to the investor, and the investor with money and an investor with idea can really hook themselves and develop a product. The second, that we need to spend money on the R&D. R&D needs spending, and unfortunately we don't spend on R&D. The last item in your budget is the R&D, and the minimum that you can do, if something remains from the budget, you throw it on the you throw it, and I mean the word you throw it. You don't budget it. So what you need to do is budget for R&D. Third, you have to attract brains, as I said before. If you have, I admire the Bangladeshis and Pakistanis' brains, because they have lots of good brains that have enriched the Western society by their brains. We are more attractive for them to come over to Saudi Arabia as a Muslim country for them, and invest their ideas and knowledge in the Saudi market. What we need is to do more searching for such people. Likewise, companies, small companies, if you have an IPO that is based in California, or an IPO that is based in Germany or France or England, go and buy them, bring them over here, or buy their technology there and import it here. This is where the venture capital and funds like that help big time. Saudi Arabia is very attractive because it has a base market, strong economy, strong purchasing power, young generation. So most of the parameters that are available in the country is very attractive to have a base market for a successful project. Then you can expand and shoot to the other countries. And we are also, don't forget, Abdurrahman, we are surrounded with about 200 million population. So it's a base to be an exportable point to the surrounding countries. We have state-of-the-art infrastructure between roads, and now we'll have trains, ports, etc. So I don't see export as a problem. Plus, we are a tax-free country. So any investor who will come over here will enjoy the environment of investments, of lots of incentives that is attractive to the investors. So most of the environment here is very attractive. Yes, we have our bureaucracy, we have our problem, like any other country. First or second world country have their own problems. So we do the same. We do have the same. But in the same time, the return on your investment in Saudi Arabia is much higher. And not only that, the facilities that you see here is so attractive. Between land, loans, purchasing power, personal tax-free, corporate tax is very minimal, 20%, which is to the profit. And you have a carry-on if you make losses until you make your profit. Most of the what's so-called parameters for investments is very attractive in Saudi Arabia. What we need to do is to work hard on that and to make sure that we do understand what's going on in the country and try to eliminate the impediments and the barriers and encourage investors to come over. And I here direct my voice to the investors, especially the foreign investors. Saudi Arabia is a very attractive country. Do not, hesitate to come to the country and invest. If there is a bureaucracy, there is a way. So the bureaucracy is not the barrier for you to break through the market, because the market is very attractive.
Well, actually, now there are so many efforts to improve the situation by turning to the e-government. So the e-government is going to make it a little bit easier and reduce the bureaucracy, either for the locals or for the foreigners. And I believe the investment bodies here in Saudi Arabia are advanced to bring such systems to serve the purpose.
Actually, we are living now the e-government. If you go to the website of the Minister of Interiors or the chambers of the Minister of Labor, everything is done electronically. GUSI is done electronically. But you have to understand that we are at a transit stage where Saudization is a tool that we want to impose to the market, and we want to impose Saudization to the economy, because if we don't employ our people, who else we can employ? So you have to understand that point. It's a very local, social, and economical issue, and politically we have to understand that this is part of the role of the government, like any other government of the world. But other than that, once you understand that, once you employ and train Saudis, and you have to be patient with them because they are quality people, what you need to do is give them a training program. Start from day one with them. Don't just say, well, I'll bring few laborers from outside, then I will hire Saudis. No, start from day one by hiring Saudis, train them, they will become loyal to them. What you need to do is just compare the payment that you give to a foreign labor to a Saudi, put the surrounding extra cost that you'll add, you'll find out that the Saudis is much cheaper for you.
Cheaper, yes, indeed. Okay, why don't we take another short break and come back to continue our discussion? Stay tuned. Or tonight we are joined by Engineer Omar Bahlewa, the Secretary General of the Committee for International Trade, and we're talking about economic issues here in Saudi Arabia. So, Engineer Omar, I think the time is almost up. So probably it's a good idea to wrap up the subject that we have discussed from the beginning of this episode.
Okay, dear listeners, this is your friend Omar Bahlewa, and I invite you really to look at the Saudi economy positively. Despite all the issues that are going around, we're still the strongest economy in the area, if not the Middle East. We are very attractive. The market is strong. The government is cooperative. The people are nice. What you need to do is to look at these three parameters, put them together, and will be much better than anywhere else if you go. Those who are living in Saudi Arabia, they know how smooth life is in Saudi Arabia. We have to accept the culture of the country, but in the same time look at the economical side as a major issue that we look at for our future. So we need you to be our partner. We look at our future as a gate, and we want you to go into that gate with us. So come and join us for our future.
Okay, Engineer Omar Bahlewa, the Secretary General of the Committee for International Trade. Thank you very much for the time that you have given us tonight and the information that you have supplied all over the episode tonight.
It's my pleasure, and thank you, Abdurrahman. It's been a pleasure to be in Riyadh broadcasting for English services.
You are very welcome. With that, dear listeners, we come to the end of this program. Please accept all wishes from our director for tonight, Mr. Abdul Latif Al Musa. This is your host, Abdurrahman bin Muhammad Al Husseini. Until we meet, inshallah, next week, another episode, please stay well and healthy, and good night.
We have just brought to you Economy Report. Economy Report. Join us again next week, only on Saudi Radio. Saudi Radio.